The story begins with a young boy proudly declaring himself a wizard as he playfully battles a girl pretending to be a monster that devours magic users. In the middle of their game, the boy swings a wooden stick and accidentally smacks her for real. She immediately protests, asking why he actually hit her, but the boy insists that monsters are supposed to lose to wizards anyway. Nearby, an elderly man watches the children with a faint smile, commenting on how energetic they are this morning. The boy recognizes him as Rabbus and eagerly asks what it takes to become a wizard. Rabbus explains that it's not something you can simply wish for. According to him, wizards stand at the very top of society, powerful figures like nobles and knights who inherit magical abilities through their bloodlines. In short, becoming one isn't possible for ordinary people like them. A villager interrupts, questioning Rabbus for being so blunt, before bringing up a troubling rumor. When asked to elaborate, the man reveals that a monster has supposedly appeared nearby. Rabbus confirms the story, explaining that a man named Rob encountered the creature near the village entrance the night before. He describes it as a massive, shadowy beast, like a leopard the size of a house. Trying to calm everyone, Rabbus assures them that the village chief has already gone to the city to request a wizard to deal with the threat. A mother nearby sighs in relief and warns her daughter to stay away from the forest until it's safe. Rabbus reinforces the danger, reminding everyone that defeating a monster without a wizard is nearly impossible. As the villagers discuss the situation, one man asks if everyone has been informed, including someone living on Hisarel Hill. Curious, Rabbus heads there. At the top of the hill, a young shepherd named Turan lies back, staring at the sky. He reflects on how monotonous his life has become, repeating the same routine every single day. He even wonders if he might one day forget how to speak from lack of interaction. Rabbus suddenly appears and mocks him for being lazy in the middle of the day. Turan, annoyed, tells him to move because he's blocking the sunlight. The two quickly fall into a tense exchange, revealing lingering resentment between them. When Rabbus brings up the past, Turan coldly reminds him of the time his mother died and how the old man tried to claim her sheep as communal property. The bitterness is still clearly there. After some back and forth, Rabbus finally explains the situation about the monster. Turan acknowledges the seriousness of it, though he doesn't seem particularly afraid, even though, as a shepherd, he'd be an obvious target. Rabbus warns him to stay cautious, insisting he only came because he was worried. Turan doesn't buy it, accusing him of caring more about the sheep than about him.
Their conversation ends with insults, and Rabbus storms off. Left alone again, Turan reflects on the nature of monsters, beasts that possess mysterious powers, much like how humans have wizards. The idea of finally seeing a wizard in person intrigues him, though he questions whether one summoned by a small village would be anything impressive. Suddenly, he catches a strange scent in the air: blood. Following it into the forest, Turan tracks the source until he abruptly stops. Lying before him are the mangled remains of Rabbus, torn apart beyond recognition. Realizing this isn't the work of any normal animal, Turan concludes that this must be the monster. At that moment, something approaches. A massive creature emerges, a dark, towering beast just as described. Turan locks eyes with it, confirming that the rumors were true. Back in the village, the young boy continues asking his father about monsters, wondering how strong they really are. His father explains that they're far beyond ordinary humans, so dangerous that anyone who confronts one head-on wouldn't even leave behind bones. Still, he reassures the boy that a wizard will arrive and easily defeat it. After all, wizards are said to wield such immense power that they can kill monsters with a single command. Meanwhile, in the forest, the monster lunges at Turan. Calmly, he simply tells it to die. The creature suddenly recoils, as if pushed back by an unseen force. It growls, circling him cautiously. Turan tries again, commanding it to stop, and once more, the beast hesitates. However, he quickly realizes that while his words affect it, they aren't enough to fully control or kill it. As the monster attacks again, Turan dodges and prepares a counterattack. Reaching into his coat, he pulls out a simple stone and mutters that a shepherd should fight like one. Placing the stone into his sling, his eyes glow faintly as he begins issuing commands, not to the monster, but to the object itself. He orders the stone to harden, to move faster, and finally, to pierce through anything in its path. With a powerful swing, the stone launches forward at incredible speed, so fast it nearly breaks the sound barrier. The monster barely manages to react, only partially dodging as the projectile slices through its ear. The beast charges in for a final strike, but before it can reach him, the stone halts mid-air, then suddenly changes direction. Spinning violently, it shoots back and slams into the back of the monster's head, completely destroying it in an instant. Silence falls. Standing over the lifeless body, Turan reflects on what he's just done. It's his first time using that technique on a monster. Casually, he wonders what to do with the corpse, perhaps toss it into a nearby valley. With a sigh, he mutters that the villagers have once again dragged him into unnecessary trouble. Turan is a wizard. He discovered his extraordinary powers 8 years ago when he was just 10 years old. Back then, the boy managed to make logs rise and float through the air. Astonished at what he could do, overwhelmed with excitement, he rushed to his mother, urging her to look as the logs drifted and spun, proudly declaring that he could control fire and wind. But instead of amazement, his mother screamed at him to stop. That was the first and last time he ever saw her lose her temper. Confused, he asked what was wrong, and she quietly led him inside, asking if he wanted to stay with her for a long time. When he said yes, she made him swear never to use his powers again, especially never in front of other people. She then asked if he remembered the story of the noble and the knight. When he nodded, she explained that magic users are all called wizards regardless of rank, but nobles and knights are not the same. Nobles are said to descend from divine beings known as the Frans, who once came to save humanity. Knights, however, are born from nobles mixed with humans. The boy listened carefully as she explained further. This is why even among wizards there are ranks and divisions. She told him his power came from his knight father and warned him of cruel nobles who treat knights like slaves. Her voice grew serious as she told him the most important rule of all: no one must ever know he is a wizard. 8 years have passed since that promise. Now older, Turan has lived his life bound by those words. He has never revealed his abilities, never left the mountain, and never broken the vow he made to his mother. He insists to himself that the promise will remain unbroken forever. But peace does not last. One day, loud banging shakes his door. Voices outside shout for him to come out. Turan opens it calmly and steps outside, yawning as the villagers immediately grab him. They accuse him of killing Rabbis. Without hesitation, they seize his collar, calling him shameless and blaming him for hurting Rabbis and leaving him to be devoured by monsters.
Turan listens silently, already understanding their intent. The oldest man in the village died alone, while the younger men who fled refused to fight. Now they are trying to shift the blame onto him. When one man swings a punch, Turan easily dodges. Magic really is convenient, he thinks. He counters with a headbutt, calmly analyzing how every spell drains mana depending on desire and intent. As another attacker rushes him, he quietly commands him to fall. The man drops instantly. Turan realizes he doesn't need to unleash fire or wind. A small, controlled use of power is enough, just enough to avoid drawing attention, just enough so no one dies. Still, he decides he will not be pushed around. "I'll dominate you all," he says coldly. One by one, the villagers charge him, but within moments they are all defeated and lying on the ground. For 8 years, Turan has hidden what he is. Now, standing over them, he tells them they should have shown this courage at Rabas's funeral instead of turning on him. He then looks toward the women nearby and asks if they plan to fight as well. They shake their heads, saying they only came to watch. Turan dismisses the beaten men and tells them to drag the fools away. Inside his home, he sighs, already predicting trouble. The village will blame him again, and they will likely use the incident as an excuse to cheat him during trade. He decides it doesn't matter. If they try, he'll simply deal with them the same way. He figures he's given them a proper lesson. They won't be back. But then, knock, knock, knock. Again. Annoyed, Turan mutters that they must be insane. He swings the door open and freezes. A tall traveler stands before him. The man politely apologizes, saying he was only hoping to ask for help on his journey and didn't mean to disturb him. Turan studies him carefully, wondering if he's truly just a traveler. He awkwardly apologizes in return, noting that some unwanted visitors had just left. He recalls his mother's teachings about manners and feels strangely out of place, realizing he has never spoken this politely to anyone before.
The traveler's stomach suddenly growls loudly. After a short pause, Turan sighs and lets him in. He prepares a simple meal, warning that he doesn't have much. The traveler, however, calls it a feast, remarking that Turan must not have met many outsiders. Turan admits that's true. He was born and raised on this mountain and has lived as a shepherd all his life. Outsiders rarely pass through this quiet town. The traveler observes him with interest, noting how well-mannered he is for someone raised in isolation. He assumes Turan's parents must have taught him well. Turan nods. His mother did, but she passed away a few years ago from illness. The traveler offers a quiet blessing, saying she must be proud of him now, resting among the gods. Turan simply replies that he only lives as she taught him. Then he asks what brings the traveler to such a remote place. The man explains he was asked to handle a monster puma. He then reveals his identity. He is a wizard. Turan realizes immediately this is the same wizard the village elder mentioned. The traveler notices something odd. There is said to be a monster in this region, yet Turan remains unusually calm. He studies him closely, asking if he is not afraid, especially since the monster would likely target him first. He wonders aloud who Turan really is. At that moment, Turan recalls his final warning. No one must ever know he is a wizard. She had told him that nobles and knights are not equal, that nobles, descended from Freyan deities, hold power over knights like masters over animals. Even if they show kindness, they could just as easily sell or sacrifice him. Worse still, if other wizards discovered him, they might separate him from everything he knows and use him like a disposable tool. And so she gave him one final chilling warning. To survive in a world like this, he might one day have to kill.
And that's where this chapter ends. But the story is far from over. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you won't miss the next chapter.